Welcome to a new video. In this video we are going to do a data analysis project using Python. I'm going to use a dataset from Kaggle and I'm going to leave its link below in the description of this video. Our dataset is about the book sales and we can directly start. We are going to start by importing the libraries we are going to use, like we are going to import pandas, we are going to import matplotlib, and we will import seaborn as SNS. So let's load our dataset. We will say data frame is going to be pd read csv, and we will say books data clean.csv. If you download it from Kaggle, it's going to be named like this. And now let's display the first 5 rows and see what our data looks like. And here it is. So we have index, we are not going to use that. We have publishing year as float, not date. We have book name, author, language code, author rating, and book average rating, book ratings count, genre, gross sales, publisher revenue, sale price, sales rank, publisher, and units sold. Great. So we have a lot of information about the book sales, from sales amount to average ratings, so we can directly start to analyze this dataset. So let's start by getting the numerical summary of the dataset. Like we will say data frame and we will use the describe method, and from here we are going to get the numerical summary of the numerical columns. So let's talk about them. Index is not important, like the count here says that we have 1007 entry in here, and I think 1071 since index starts from 0, yeah, 1071. And let's check other columns. We have a negative number in publishing year at the minimum side, so we will just fix that. We are going to filter our data frame. It's not a true entry, I guess, and the minimum rating is 2.97 and the maximum is 4.77, and the mean of this is 4. So we can say that most of the books have a closer rating to 5 than 1. And let's check the ratings count. We have averagely 94,000 book rating, and let's check the gross sales. We have 1,856. We have the revenue information, sale price, sales rank, and units sold. Great. So the first thing we need to do is we need to fix this publishing year negative. So I will say data frame is going to be equal to the data frame, and I'm going to filter it like publishing year, and I'm going to say greater than 90. So if you call the describe again, you are going to see this is going to be fixed. Great. So we can move on. Let's check if we have any NA valued rows in our dataset. So we will say data frame is NA, and we will use the sum method after that. So we have some NA valued rows, and I think we can keep them, because if we delete all the entries with the empty language code, we can lose some important information, like we can miss a book that sells most or something like that. So I think just because of that, just writing drop NA is nonsense, but we can drop the ones who has no book name. Like what we are going to do is we will say data frame drop NA, and we have parameter like subset, and if you specify the subset like book name, it will only drop the rows on the NA valued book names. Like I'm just going to run this firstly before setting it, and you will see we get a data frame again, and if we just use in place equals to true, we will modify the original data frame, and when I run this you are going to see this one is going to be 0 right now. Great. So let's check for the duplicated ones. I will say data frame duplicated, and it's going to return booleans, and if I use sum, we will get the count of the duplicated rows, and we have no duplicates in our dataset. Great. So we have a function like number of unique, and we can check the unique entries by each column like this, number of unique, and we will just run this, and we have the unique values in our columns here. Okay, let's create a histogram of the publishing year so we can see the distribution of it. So I will say plt.histogram, we will use matplotlib, and we will say publishing year in here, And then I'm going to say X label is going to be publishing year, and Y label is going to be frequency, and I will just use title for giving it a title like distribution of publishing year, and at the end I will use plt.show. And here it is. So we can see in our dataset we mostly have the new books, and it seems great. Okay, let's create a bar chart of the number of books in each genre. So I'm going to say data frame genre, and I will use value counts after that. And we are going to get the value counts from this, and I will say dot plot, and I'm going to set the kind as bar, and then I will say X label is going to be genre, and Y label is going to be number of books, and title is going to be number of books in each genre, and I will use plt.show after that. And here it is. Great. Okay, let's do some group bys. Now we are going to group by author and calculate the average rating for each author. So for this we are going to say data frame group by, and at the first place we will say the column that we want to group by. Then we will give the values like book average rating, and we will use that mean after that. So we can manipulate this result, like this is a panda series, like you can easily check like the writing type in here and in here, and after that you will see it's a panda series, and we can use all the panda series methods with this result. Like we can say head, and we can see the first 5 displaying, and we can say tail. Also what we can do is we can use reset index for turning this into a pandas data frame like this. And let's just go back to this. This is a really commonly used method. We can use sort values after that. We will say sort values, and let's set this ascending as false for sorting it in descending order, and you can see it's now sorted in descending order. Great. So let's create a box plot of book ratings count for each genre. So I will say Seaborn box plot, and after that I will say X is going to be equal to a genre, and Y is going to be equal to the book ratings count, and I will set the data frame, and after that we are going to give it an X label like genre, and Y label like book ratings count, and we will say plt.title and box plot of book ratings count for each genre. And now we can see that also for disappearing this text we can say plt.show, and it will look better. Great. Here we can see our box plot, and it looks great. Okay, let's do another visualization, like let's do scatter plot of sale price and units sold. So I'm going to say scatter by matplotlib and data frame sale price, and after that I will say data frame units sold, and X label is going to be sale price, and Y label is going to be units sold, and I'm going to give the title like scatter plot of sale price versus units sold, and I will use plt.show after that. And here it is. So from here we can say when the sale price drops or it's lower, the units sold increases, and we can do comments on every plot or every group by, but I'm not doing that because I don't want video to be too long. You can add this type of comments if you are doing this project by yourself. It will be really helpful to understand this data set better, and it's going to be a better project if you are going to list this project on your portfolio or your resume. Okay, let's get the value counts of the language code. So for that we will say data frame language code, and I will use value counts after that. And from this information, also this is a pandas series, when it returns from value counts, you get appended series. Like you can also do sort values ascending through for sorting them in ascending order and other operations too. Okay, let's create a pie chart of the language distribution. So let's just set this as language counts, and let's just remove the ascending part, it's unnecessary. And after that I'm going to say matplotlib.pyplot, and I will say pi. After that I will say language counts, and I'm going to say labels are going to be language counts.index, and let's set the start angle as 90, and I'm going to set auto PCT for seeing the percentages. It's like 1.1 f 2 percentage signs. Also at the start I'm not going to run this like this, and you're going to see the difference what this does. And I will say title is going to be language distribution of books, and I will say plt.show at the end of this, and here it is. So what this does, the auto PCT thing, is if you run with auto PCT in here, you are going to get the percentages. Like when you run like this, you are going to see English 71%, English United States 24%, and information like that. I generally use with auto PCT. Okay, let's group our data by publisher and calculate the total revenue for each publisher. For that, we are going to say data frame group by publisher, and I will say publisher revenue, and we will use that sum after that. And there's an error, let me check. Published, so it needs to be publisher like this, and I think there is another error, publisher, it's not a column, so let me quickly check. I'm going to fix it on the video. What's that? Publishing year, publisher, and there's a space after the publisher. So if I run like this, now it's going to work smoothly, I guess. Yes, here it is. So let's sort this in descending order, like sort values ascending false. And when I run this, you are going to see that the leading one is the Penguin Group, and the least value is HarperCollins Christian Publishing. Great. Okay, let's group our data by author rating and find the average book ratings count for each author rating. So we will say data frame group by again. We will say author rating, and we will say book ratings count, and we will use .mean after that. And here it is. So let's find the leading one, like sort values and ascending false for the descending order. And if you just use .head and you use 1, you are going to see the leading one, or you can directly do .maximum from here, and there's other methods that you can do that. Great. So what we are going to do right now is we are going to group by language code and count the number of books in each language. So for that we will say data frame group by, and we are going to group by language code, and we will use .size after that like this, and here it is. So again we can just do sort values ascending false. Great. We already seen this information in the pie chart that English was the leading one, and here's the others. So let's do one more group by, like let's group our data by author rating and find the average book ratings count for each author rating. So what we can do about this is we can say data frame group by, and after that we can say author rating. Actually we need underscore between them, and then we can say book ratings count, and we will use .mean, and here it is. Actually I think we already did this. I remember it like that. Let me quickly check. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. Here it is. So we already did that. So I'm going to change that, and I'm going to say maximum. So here is the maximum numbers, or we can find the medians, or we can find the minimum, we can find the standard deviation, we can find the variance, and other aggregations we can make. I'm taking notes about the column names, and I just forgot I did about this. And great, so we can move on. Let's create a scatter plot of book average rating and book ratings count. So for that, I'm going to say matplotlib scatter, and we will say data frame book average rating, and we will say data frame book ratings count, and I will say plt x label book average rating, and I will say plt y label book ratings count, and I'm going to give it a title like scatter plot of book average rating like this versus book ratings count, and I will use plt.show at the end of this, and here it is. Okay, let's create a bar chart of the total gross sales for each author. So we will say, actually I'm going to use .head here because we have a lot of authors in our dataset and it's going to be huge if I don't do that. I'm going to say total gross sales by author, and I will say data frame group by, I'm going to do author, and I'm going to say gross sales, and after that I'm going to use sum. Let's see if this works. Total gross sales author, and I'm going to run this. Great, it's working. So after that I'm going to say sort values and set this as ascending false for getting the maximum ones. Here it is. So after that I'm going to say head for getting, let's get the 10. Here it is. So after that I'm going to say plot, and I'm going to set the kind as bar, and let's give the title for the X label as author, and for the Y label let's give the title like total gross sales, and I'm going to give the title total gross sales for each author, and I will use plt.show at the end of this. And here it is. Great. So if you just change this ascending false to true, you're going to get this in ascending order, or you can just change this to false for getting descending order and change this for getting the 20 of the data. Great. So let's create Boxplot of units sold for each author rating. So for that we will say seaborn Boxplot, and we will say X is going to be equal to the author rating, and then we are going to say Y is going to be equal to the units sold, and data is going to be equal to the data frame. And let's give it the X label like author rating, and let's give it a Y label like units sold, and I'm going to give it a title like box plot of units sold for each author rating, and I will use plt.show at the end of this, and here it is. So let's create a final plot, and it's going to be line chart. So we are going to see a different type of visualization. Let's group our data by publishing year and plot a line chart of the total units sold over the years. So what we are going to say is we are going to say data frame group by, and we will say publishing year, and we are going to say units sold, and we will use that sum after that. And here's the result of this. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to say dot plot, and I'm going to set the kind as line and marker as this. So we are just going to add an X label like publishing year, and Y label like total units sold, and title total units sold over the years, and I will say .show at the end, and here it is. So you can remove markers from here, like you can just delete this, but I prefer markers on this type of graphs, so I'm going to say marker equals to this, and this is the last plot for this project. So in this project we made a lot of group bys, visualizations, and a lot of things. You can just add comments to them, to the results, and you can say this means this and this leads to this, and this can be a really good portfolio project for your resume. I have more than 10 data analysis and more than 25 data science projects on my channel. Also, I'm creating courses about data science, like I have data visualization, big data, data analysis courses on my channel. You can just check the channel playlists from my channel and you can get to them. So, that was all from me for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'm creating content about data science and programming. If you're interested in these topics, you can follow my channel for more videos like this. I'm trying to upload as much as I can. Thanks for watching again and have a great day.